Let us continue our discussion on the electron ionization source. So, this is a typical diagram of an electron ionization source. As you can see in the figure, this source consists of a heated filament which gives off the electrons, and then the electrons are accelerated towards an anode and they collide with the gaseous molecules of the sample injected into the source. So, the electrons move towards an anode, and in the process of accelerating towards the anode, they collide with the gaseous molecules of the sample that is being injected into the source. Now, the gases and samples with very high pressure are introduced directly into the source, so that the analyte are in gaseous form. So, to bring it to the gaseous form, if the analytes are in the form of liquid or solids, they are usually heated to increase the vapor pressure for analysis. Now, what is the productivity? On average, 1 ion is produced for every 1000 molecules entering the source under the usual spectrometer conditions, that is at 70 electron volt. And furthermore, between 10 and 20 electron volt is transferred to the molecules during the ionization process. So, on an average, 1 ion is produced for every 1000 molecules entering the source through the inlet, and this happens under the usual spectrometer conditions, that is at 70 electron volts. And furthermore, between 10 and 20 electron volts it is transferred to the molecules during the ionization process. And approximately 10 electron volt is more than enough to ionize most of the molecules, that is with respect to organic molecules, because the electron ionization source is a classical example for thermally stable molecules. So, 10 electron volt, approximately 10 electron volt is enough to ionize most organic molecules, and the remaining or the excess energy leads to extensive fragmentation. Now, this fragmentation can be useful because it provides structural information for the elucidation of unknown analytes. Right. So, as you can see in the equation, at a given acceleration potential and at constant temperature, the number of ions I produced per unit time in a volume V is linked to the pressure P and to the electron current I, where N is a constant proportionality coefficient. So, what we can understood from this is that the equation shows that the sample pressure is directly correlated with the ionic current. So, this allows such a source to be used in quantitative measurements. Are there any limitations for this particular ionization source? No doubt, the electron ionization leads to fragmentation, and this fragmentation is very much useful for elucidating the structures of unknown analytes. But too many fragments sometimes prevents its detection. So this is an important limitation that is associated with the electron ionization source. Right? That means electron ionization leads to fragmentation of the molecular ion, which sometimes prevents its detection. So in comparison to electron ionization technique, we have other techniques, that is chemical ionization. This is a technique that produces ions with little excess energy. That means this technique presents the advantage of yielding a spectrum with less fragments or fragmentation. So that makes the identification of the species very much easy compared to electron ionization. In other words, chemical ionization is a complementary technique to electron ionization. That means this technique produces ions with little excess energy compared to electron ionization, so that the advantage of yielding a spectrum with less fragmentation is possible. And in chemical ionization, the ions are produced through a collision of the molecule to be analyzed with primary ions present in the source. Right? So there are primary ions present in the source, and this chemical ionization consists of producing ions through a collision of the molecule to be analyzed with already present primary ions in the source. So this ion molecule collisions will thus be induced in a definite part of the source. So can you make out the difference? Here there are already ions present in the source. We refer those ions as primary ions, and this ionization technique produces ions through a collision of the molecule to be analyzed with primary ions, and these ion molecule collisions will be induced in a definite part of the source, and in order to do so, the local pressure has to be sufficient to allow for frequent collisions. So among a wide variety of possible ionization reactions, the most common reaction is called as proton transfer reaction. So there are already primary ions, and you allow the molecule to be analyzed to collide with these primary ions, and this happens in a definite part of the ionization source, and to do so the local pressure has to be sufficient to allow for frequent collisions. And since it's a chemical ionization technique, the possible ionization reactions are discussed. The most common is the proton transfer. So when analyte molecules, that is, we refer the analyte molecules over here as M, when these molecules are introduced in the ionization plasma, the reagent gas ions, as I said earlier, primary ions are already present in the source. So here the requirement is a gas. We refer to this gas as reagent gas, and the ions of this particular reagent gas are referred to as reagent gas ions. So this is already present in the source, and now the molecules M are introduced into the ionization plasma. So the reagent gas ions, they transfer a proton to the molecule to be analyzed and produce a protonated molecular ions. So basically it is a simple acid-base reaction. So this chemical ionization reaction can be described as an acid-base reaction. Here the reagent gas ions and the analyte molecules are, or the one is the proton donor and the other one is the proton acceptor. So it's a simple acid-base reaction where one ion transfers a proton and the other molecule, that is the sample analyte, receives the proton. So the tendency for a reagent ion to protonate a particular analyte molecule is assessed from its proton affinity values. So that is also equally important to consider. The difference between electron ionization and chemical ionization spectra for easy understanding is given in this figure. The top one is the electron ionization spectra. Middle one is the methane chemical ionization spectra. Here the methane gas refers to the reagent gas, and the bottom one refers to the isobutane chemical ionization spectra. If you carefully observe all the three spectra, the electron ionization spectra of butyl methacrylate displays a very low molecular ion at M by Z 142, which is actually we cannot see at 142. There is a very low signal. In contrast to that, its chemical ionization spectra exhibit a protonated molecular ion at M by Z 143 and very few fragmentations are observed. Right? This examples shows that the control of the fragmentation degree in chemical ionization can be changed by changing the type of the reagent gas. Methane reagent gas and isobutane reagent gas chemical ionization mass spectra of butyl methacrylate gives the protonated molecular ion, but the degree of fragmentation is different for both the reagent gas types. Right. So if you can observe in the middle figure and in the bottom figure, the degree of fragmentation is different. With isobutane, the base peak is the protonated molecular ion at M by Z 143, whereas with methane, the base peak is a fragment ion at M by Z 87. So in the middle figure, with methane, the base peak is a fragment ion at M by Z 87, And with isobutane as a reagent gas, the base peak is the protonated molecular ion at M by Z 143. So they give the protonated molecular ion spectra, but the degree of fragmentation is different. So if you change the reagent gas, the ionization pattern changes and you will get a different fragmentation pattern and a different spectra. Right? So you have to be very careful in choosing the right reagent gas for the analysis of the M by Z of the given analyte. In chemical ionization plasma, all the ions are labile to be associated with polar molecules to form adducts. So it is a kind of gas phase solvation. And this process is favored by the possible formation of hydrogen bonds. So if you look at the stability, for the adduct to be stable, the excess energy must be eliminated, and the elimination can only be possible with a third partner or another molecule. So the excess energy or the removal of the excess energy requires a collision with a third partner. Right? So every ion in the plasma may become associated with either a sample molecule or a reagent gas molecule. And some of these ions are useful in the confirmation of the molecular mass. So these associations are often useful to identify a mixture or to determine the molecular masses of the constituents of the mixture. Right? So this is like an complementary information to the electron ionization technique. Then we have charge transfer chemical ionization. So rare gases, nitrogen, carbon monoxide and other gases with high ionization potential, so they do react by charge exchange. So a radical cation is obtained similar to electron ionization, but with a smaller energy content, and because of smaller energy, less fragmentation is observed. But in practice, these gases are not used very often. So this is a very rare technique to be used for the chemical under the chemical ionization. Next we have field ionization technique. So this is a technique that uses very strong electric fields to produce ions from gas phase molecules. So we have seen electron ionization, we have seen chemical ionization and the possible reaction types under chemical ionization technique. Next we have field ionization. So we see under field ionization that a very strong electric field is used to produce the ions from gas phase molecules. So similar to electron ionization or chemical ionization, the field ionization is only suitable for gas phase ionization. So the best method for gas phase ionization. Therefore, the sample is introduced into the field ionization source by the same techniques that are commonly used in electron ionization and chemical ionization sources. Right. So, introduction of the sample into the field ionization technique is similar to the sample introduction technique used in electron ionization and chemical ionization. That is, for example, using a direct probe that can be heated or the eluent from a gas chromatograph. And the electric fields are generally produced by a potential difference of 8 to 12 kilovolts. So, this is applied between a filament called the emitter and a counter electrode that is a very few millimeters far away in the ionization setup. The sample molecules in the gas phase, they approach the surface of the emitter that is held at high positive potential, and if the electric field at the surface is sufficiently intense, that is if the strength reaches about 10 to the power of 7 to 10 to the power of 8 volt per centimeter, one of the electrons from the sample molecule is transferred to the emitter by quantum tunneling, resulting in the formation of a radical cation. So, it is a very simple approach. That means the sample molecules, they reach the surface of the emitter in the gas phase, and if the electric field or the intensity is about 10 to the power of 7 to 10 to the power of 8 volt per centimeter, then one of the electrons from the sample molecule is transferred to the emitter by quantum tunneling, resulting in the formation of a radical cation. Now, this ion is repelled by the emitter and it flies towards the negative counter electron. So, there will be a hole, and through this the ion pass directly to the mass analyzer compartment. So, this ionization source generates ions with an extremely low internal energy, thus exhibiting no fragmentation. So, there will be no fragments produced under field ionization. So, in comparison to electron ionization and chemical ionization process, since the internal energy of the ions is much lower in field ionization, this is supposed to be one of the softest methods to produce ions from organic molecules. Right? So, it is one of the softest methods compared to electron ionization and chemical ionization, because the internal energy of the ions is much lower. That is the reason why it is called as one of the softest methods to produce ions from organic molecules. But can we use it if no fragments are produced and it is softest method? Can this be used to biological molecules? No. However, it is softest method to produce ions. Thermal decomposition of the analyte can occur during its evaporation, because it has to be brought to the gas phase prior to ionization. So, thermal labile molecules are not analyzed using field ionization. Thermal decomposition of the analyte can occur during its evaporation prior to ionization. Therefore, Field ionization allows molecular species to be easily recognized only for compounds sufficiently volatile and thermally stable. Macromolecules, that is biological macromolecules, do not fulfill these features. So, field ionization is best suited for compounds which are sufficiently volatile and are thermally stable. Right? Moving further, we have the laser desorption method. Laser desorption is an efficient method for producing gaseous ions. So, the laser pulses, usually yielding from 10 to the power of 6 to 10 to the power of 10 watt per centimeter square. They are focused on a sample surface of about 10 to the power of minus 3 to 10 to the power of minus 4 centimeters square, supposed to be a solid one. So these laser pulses, they are focused onto the sample surface. That means sample is usually a solid one or a semi-fluid. So these laser pulses ablate material from the surface and create a microplasma of ions and neutral molecules which may react among themselves in the dense vapor phase near the sample surface. So this or the laser pulse realizes both the vaporization and the ionization of the sample. So this particular technique is used in the study of surfaces and in the analysis of local composition of the samples. Not the composition of the samples deep inside, because it can ablate material from the surface. The laser pulse ablates material from the surface and it creates a microplasma of ions and neutral molecules which they among themselves react near the sample surface. Right. So this is a beautiful technique used in the study of surfaces and in the analysis of the local composition of the samples. Right. However, in most conventional infrared laser desorption modes, the laser creates a thermal spike and thus it is not necessary to match the laser wavelength with the sample. So the signals are very short. Simultaneous detection analyzers or time of flight analyzers are required when we use the laser desorption, because it is only the ablation of material from the surface. So the signals are very short, and simultaneous detection analyzers, real time detection analyzers are required, or the time of flight analyzers, which we will be discussing in detail, they are required. So the specific physical properties of the analyte, such as photo absorption, volatile nature, etc., these are the critical properties that are useful to obtain the mass spectrum. That means the probability of obtaining a useful mass spectrum depends critically on the specific physical properties of the analyte. As an example, it could be photo absorption, volatility, and so on. And the most of the ions produced are almost always fragmentation products of the original molecule, and the molecule mass should be approximately 500 daltons and above. So these are some of the conditions that are associated with laser desorption. Only when the molecule mass is having 500 daltons or more than 500 daltons, then the ions could be produced, and only some of the analytes which fulfill specific physical properties, only then a useful mass spectrum can be obtained. So all these conditions are advantages, but at the same time they are also limitations. So these situations has changed dramatically with the development of new method, that is matrix assisted laser desorption ionization, or the MALDI. So I'll continue my discussion in the next session. Thank you very much.